it. So what I will be doing, or what I'm currently doing, is building a SaaS AI app. So basically integrating, basically building an AI app or SaaS app that includes AI services. If you want to have a look what it looks like in when it's done, then you can go to YouTube, because I basically follow a tutorial, because I'm a non-techie trying to learn tech and trying to learn how to do and build AI apps. So basically it's called Code with Antonio. So that's a guy that is doing that. And here, Code with Antonio, and you can see he builds like full stack apps, and he puts down like what he uses to do that. So we can basically go with Code with Antonio. That, but you don't see the video anyway, how it's done. So basically here it says build a SaaS AI platform, and you can see how it looks like. So that's the app that he's building. So if you watch this tutorial and watch the first, I think, 5 minutes, then he will share you or show you how he's building this app. And basically what will be the result. I have been building some other parts of the app already, and there is this very long video, which is, I think we can quickly click on it and then we can see it. So, okay, that's go over here. So basically, this is 5 hours and 33 minutes long. So you can imagine that my videos will be way longer, because I basically have to copy paste everything, and I also have sometimes to do debugging. And this is my very first app that I ever built. So maybe not completely. I've built beforehand, tested whether I can build an app with AI by just asking ChatGPT to do the code for me, but this was very, very basic. And so this one is way more complicated and way more complex. But I thought, because I want to do an AI app and I want to check also how ChatGPT can help me build this app. So whenever I have questions, it can help me to basically debug and at the same time learn how it's done. I built something more complicated, so you can see a bit like while I talk what I'm doing there. So I will build all of that, and hopefully I learn a lot of how it's done, and you learn something as well as I do it, and all the mistakes that I do and all the debugging. So there was one part um, where I stopped my last video about Clerk Authentication. And I have been building a tiny bit more already, mainly because I just started and forgot to click the button of starting with the video. But now what I will be doing is going on further. And what you can see, so this is a library. So this is our localhost 3000, where we built here the app. And we now have a dashboard. So basically what we have done so far is not that much, and I try to explain what I have done, but to be honest, it is a tutorial, and I just follow the tutorial as someone who has never coded and try to understand how it's done and how to basically move around to the point that I make it possible, and build this app in a way that in the end you can interact with that app. So that's the idea. So the idea is you can interact with that app. I learn how it works, and maybe you learn it as well while listening to me doing it and making all these mistakes that you probably make as a beginner. And then, learning more about how to build those apps, because I think, the moment when I start building those apps and just trying those projects, and maybe I do some of the additional projects that this Code with Antonio guy is doing here, if this will work out for me. So he did like these 15 videos, and you can see he did some additional ones. So I don't get any commission from, like him if I put you on my channel, on his channel. But I think this is just fab, because you can really learn everything from scratch, and he just shows exactly how it's doing. And I think that's really helpful. So he also does a Notion clone, a Twitch clone, Trello clone, and he has one additional one, which I think I might be doing, which is another AI app, but I haven't really understood what exactly it is. It says like the SaaS AI companion, and I'm not 100% sure what's a SaaS AI companion, given these individual people, but I might still do this as a second project. It's 6 hours 35 long, but it includes quite the similar, let's say, environment with also Next.js, React, Stripe, Prisma, and Tailwind, and then this MySQL, which is not part of the app that I'm building here, I think. And then you can see we can also have an e-commerce dashboard and CMS, and then we can think of, okay, maybe build an e-commerce dashboard and include some AI pieces, or we can have a Spotify clone, a Messenger clone, Airbnb clone, Twitter clone, Netflix clone, and REST API guide. Well, that's just a short thing. So there are several things. We can have Discord, Notion, Trello, and Twitch. And I think this is just fab because, I mean, yeah, it's just for me, you know, really learning and seeing how it works. And yeah, and then we can take it from there, or maybe you have some other ideas and projects that I can take on. So there's one other project that I will be doing, and I already started doing it, but I haven't uploaded it yet. It's about showing you how to learn and build a learning platform. So this is something else that I will be doing, and you can hopefully get something out of that. But with that, let's go further into what we're learning. So you won't see me listening to the video of Code with Antonio. So I have this on my iPad. You will, however, hear what he's saying. And I also use ChatGPT for trying to better understand what I do there. So you sometimes see me putting something into ChatGPT, or I also put something in there if I have issues with, basically when I have issues with code and I need to debug. So this is 3.5, but I often also use ChatGPT 4. So it really depends a bit on the problem that I face and if I think that ChatGPT 4 might give me a better answer. So what I have done after the Clerk authentication. So Clerk authentication basically means that you have an authentication. We now can't really see this anymore because I just destroyed the dashboard in a way that it's now a dashboard and not everything is visible anymore because now we have the sidebar, but we're building the dashboard. But what is important is that the Clerk authentication works. If you haven't done it yet, you can also, I mean, I will upload my other videos where it is about Clerk authentication. And there is like Clerk is basically a tool for authentication, and that's what this guy uses. There are some other ones like Auth0, I think it's called. It's also one that's quite famous and quite often used, but apparently it's more difficult. And as I'm a beginner and just following along, I thought, let's go with that one. So if you want to add like the authentication, I mean, just follow the video of Antonio, or otherwise you can also have here some insights into how it's done. It took me ages because I made a mistake or not a mistake, but for whatever reason it didn't work. And I think in the end it just didn't work because I made some changes and I forgot to save it all. So he used to have something file save all, and I just saved. So I think I missed some of the save all. And that's the reason why I wasn't able to, in the end, make it work. But that's just some things that you can do. But now we're done with the Clerk. And what we see now is that we go now into the sidebar elements. So we can, here you see it's actually the landing page. That's really weird. I don't know why it's here. Oh, I think I actually know why. So here you see we have this user button on a landing page. I'm not sure if we want to have it here, actually not really, but I think I know why I have it here and it's a mistake, but we will get this rid of soon. But let's go and build the sidebar. So that's what the project currently is. So you can see here with this dashboard layout. So we're basically here if you look at the left-hand side and at the My App, the Explorer, so there is like the dashboard, then there's the roots, and then the dashboard page. And Antonio now said, okay, let's put like the layout directly within the dashboard here. And we put like this layout here. We have constant dashboard layout, and then we have these children. I basically just followed along. And then we have age full relative, and then we have this class name here hidden and all of this. So that's basically the sidebar. And then you have here hello sidebar. And this was where I got into not problems, but I wanted to better understand, okay, what's the hidden age full MD flex? And it looked a bit like CSS basically in my understanding, but it's probably not exactly the same. So I basically Googled that with ChatGPT, And it says, okay, this code you've provided appears to be written in JSX, which is often used with React, the popular JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Let's break down the code. And so div is an HTML element. I'm aware of that. So that's a basic just kind of divider, not divider, but like a container in the web page. I mean, it just says, which is used to create a container in the web page. And then class name equals hidden and so on. This is the class name attribute of the div, and it contains a list of CSS classes. So it is kind of CSS. Each class defines styling rules for the element. Now let's break down the individual CSS classes. So hidden, this class is likely used to hide the element. It might set the CSS property display to none, making the element not visible on the page. The idea is that this guy says, okay, we want to have it hidden because we want to have it hidden on mobile devices, but we don't want to have it hidden on desktop devices. Hfull, this class might be setting the height of the element to 100% of its parent container. It makes the element take up the full height available. I mean, that's correct, right? The hfull, height full. I mean, what we see here is we have the height full. Then the MD flex, this class is likely using a responsive design approach. It might apply the CSS property display flex, which the screen width reaches or exceeds a medium-sized breakpoint. Well, this class might set the width, yeah, that's what he said as well. So the width to 72 units when the screen width reaches or exceeds a medium-sized breakpoint. Then flex call, this class could be making the element a flex container with its children arranged in a column direction when the screen width reaches or exceeds. Okay. Fix, this class might be setting the element as a fixed position, meaning it stays in a fixed position on the screen even when you scroll. So this makes sense because, right, we don't want to have it moving around. Inset, this class could be controlling the element's vertical positioning within its containing element when the screen width reaches or exceeds. Okay. Z, this class might be setting the Z index of the element to 80, which determines its stacking order in relation to other elements on the page. That's true. I already read this before as well. And then background gray 900, this class likely sets the background color of the element to a shade of gray. Okay. So I think we are done now, and now we are listening to Antonio of what he's telling us now. So we are at this sidebar. So the main element what we are currently building is the sidebar, and you can see here, if I scroll here or like hover above, you can see hello sidebar, and that's exactly the sidebar that we're building here, and that's also here in the div, you see the hello sidebar. So let's go on. So sometimes the video on my iPad stops and I have to kind of reload.
Now you can see that it has filled up more of my screen. So these are the classes.
When I'm not talking, I hope you actually hear what he's saying. But you can also follow along in the video, like just having the video by yourself.
Needed for the container which is going to hold the sidebar. Hidden, hfull, MD flex, this is important, MD W-72, MD flex called, fixed, and the positioning for it. Great. And now it looks much better. And now inside, I'm giving this main and a padding of left of 72.
So it says, oh, see, good that we actually checked, because it's padding left. It's not LP, but it's padding left of 72.
If I write hello content inside, like this, you can see that it's not overlapped.
So hello content, for me, it kind of, I don't know what he's doing, but I think that I always put save all, and then I reload. And now you see this. So now we have hello content here, and we have hello sidebar here.
With the sidebar. If we don't have this class, you can see that it disappears. It's behind the sidebar. So this way we push it for the amount of 72, which is the same value of the width of the sidebar, meaning that it's always going to be visible because it is going to be pushed further than the width of the sidebar. Great. And now what I want to do is inside of this main is actually render the children. Like this. So now you can see that we have this dashboard.
Now we have the children. Now we do save all. Now let's see what happens. Ha! No, that's not ha. Okay, it is ha. Okay, we have hello content. We have the dashboard page. So it's basically the children of the dashboard, and we only have one child, right? We just have the dashboard page. And so now we can put the children in here.
Rendered inside. If you're not seeing any of this, just make sure you're on the dashboard page. That's very important. Great. Now I'm going to replace this hello content with a Navbar component.
Okay, now we don't want to have hello, but we want to have, how he says, a Navbar.
If we save, of course, we are going to get an error because Navbar component does not exist. So let's close our app folder.
Okay, so this is an error because it doesn't exist yet, but he says we will change this in a minute.
Go inside of components, and I'm not going to do this.
So he now wants us, so we save all. He wants us to go to components. Where are we? Here. Let's see.
Inside the UI folder. I'm going to reserve the UI folder for ShadCN components. So this is going to be our custom component. So let's create a new file and let's name it navbar.p.
So he wants in the components file, not in the UI file, he wants to have a new file and he wants to have called this navbar.tsx like this.
So just make sure it's not inside of the UI folder. It's still going to work if you put it inside, and if you want, you can do that, but I'm going to do it like this. And let's go right and write navbar like this.
So this is always, I have no clue yet how exactly this works, but he says, equals, and then we have these things here. Then we have this and this. It's kind of always the same. I think I just have to learn how it works. Like this. And then we have return like this. And then we have this here. And then, oh no, wait a second. And then here below, we have this export default navbar. And then we have this. So this is basically always the same. And now it expects something. So now it gets a bit complicated.
It's not going to have any props.
So we do return, and then apparently we do, no, we don't do that. We do return. Maybe we don't even need to do this that long. Whatever. Div. And now the div gets class name equals, and then
let's give it a class name of flex items dash.
Flex items center
MP dash 4.
Don't ask me what that means.
Like that. And for now, all I'm going to do for the toggle button for mobile sidebar is going to be a button.
So now within we have button.
I'm going to import that from ./UI.
So he says he's importing that.
But I'm going to replace this from /components.
Okay, and he says we import that. So we basically do import button. Not sure if we need to do that, but well. From, and then we have these here, and we have @/components /UI/button. So that's the button that we basically. Oh, look, that's nice. It tells me that. So now the import basically works, and now we have that button.
Because I want to use this alias rather than relative imports. I think they look nicer. Both is working. So you can also use, of course, ./UI button, but I just prefer it this way. I want to be consistent. And I'm going to use the menu icon from Lucy.
And now it tells us it wants to use menu
-React. If you're wondering,
so it says menu-React. So
Where did this package come from? We got it when...
Oh, so he's quick. I'm not even that quick. So import. So it tells us basically menu from, and then he says Lucide or React
installed ChatCN UI. And that's what I mentioned in the beginning. If you chose a New York style instead of default style, you will not have Lucid React installed. You're going to have Radix icons. So if you want to use that, go ahead and find the equivalent Radix icon for that. But if you follow the tutorial exactly as I did, then no problem. You have this and you can just save the file. And in this button, I'm going to give it a variant.
So whatever reason, he changes those two. So we will do that too. So we will put that in that sense. And now he says button
Of Ghost and
variant equals, I think this is like, so yeah, that's Ghost, I know. So I think it's the variant because with this Schätzchen, so basically there is this one thing that's called Schätzchen. And with Schätzchen, you have all these buttons. So basically you can go to button and then you can see here style New York. Oh no, we are not at the button. So here we are at the button and you can say style New York because we have style default, I think. And then you have the code here with the button, so how you use the button. But then you have various different coding styles, right? So this is just a button, but there's button secondary, destructive, outline, and here ghost. So basically we want to have a button that is ghost, and so you can see the code is basically says variant ghost. And so exactly this is, so we just can automatically use it and we don't have to build the button because the button is already here. So let's go back. So this is the variant ghost.
give it a size of icon.
Okay, see, and then we can even make here some additional ones. So size equals icon.
And the class name.
And then he puts class name equals, let's see, what
is going to be MD hidden.
Okay, he says MD hidden.
Like that. Okay, so we have the basic navbar right here ready. So let's go back to our dashboard layout. And
okay, so he says that's now, let's save that. And now he want to go back to the dashboard layout where we have could not find the dash.
now we can go ahead and import this from add/components navbar like this. And now when I say...
Okay. So he basically says now we have to import this now. Import navbar from, and now we do this here from the add components / navbar. Because we have the navbar now, right? Let's see, where do we have the navbar again? Oh, we have the navbar at the, see, I'm getting confused a bit. So we have here the navbar and the components. And so we can basically import the navbar that we just created here, the class name, and then the navbar with these thingies. Why I'm not sure what P4 means, but it's basically the menu from Lucid React. So the menu we also have to, yeah, I think you just have to really know all these different components that are there in the Schätzchen. But let's file, save all. But let's go back to the dashboard layout where we have the navbar.
This, we cannot see anything. But if I collapse, there we go. You can see that
Okay, so he says we shouldn't be seeing anything, but we see something when we go smaller because then we see this button. But that's it. There's nothing behind this button yet. Okay, let's go on.
have a toggle button which later is going to open a mobile sidebar, but on desktop it's not visible because we don't want it to be visible. Great. Now I just want to quickly clean up my dashboard route. So go into the...
So he wants to do some cleanup. Let's see.
Dashboard folder, into routes, dashboard page.tsx. Remove this user button.
So he wants to remove the user button here.
Remove the import.
And he wants to remove the import. I don't know, I actually kind of like that, but well.
A very clean dashboard page like that. So now we can go back into our components.
So whatever he wants. So now he says, let's go back to components.
Navbar.tsx.
And then to the navbar.tsx.
Right here. And we're going to actually add that user button here instead. So go ahead and open it.
Okay, so he wants to add the user button there. So he says, okay, let's do at the button, below the button, another div.
Last name here, sorry, a div with a last name of flex w-full.
Okay, he wants to have flex w full, so that's the width full now.
And justify -end.
And justify.
And go ahead and write the user button from.
Oh, and what we have to do as well. So he says import button, import, and now he says the user button from, and now add Clerk Next.js, and then we need to do that. See, these are really small things. Now within the bar, we have the user button, and then we do that.
Add/clerk Next.js like this. So now
so he puts the user button now, don't ask me why, here. And then he puts like that. We just go.
that our user button.
So now, okay, file, save all. Oh, that looks nice. See, now we have this in here. I don't really know why. Flex, justify, and so probably because that's flex, that's like width is full, so it goes into this corner here, and justify end is probably because it just goes, it basically tells us now go to all this way over there. So we can probably check. Here, justify end is used to align flex items to the end of the main axis. Here's a breakdown of what it means. Okay, so this is what basically brings us up to there. And so basically when we're here, we can, open it, and then we have our account. Isn't that nice? That's nice. Oh no, that's not what we want. That's my videos. So this dashboard page protected we don't need, but I mean, we just have it as it is here.
In our navbar right here at the top. Perfect. And don't forget to give this a prop of after sign out.
And then it says what we need to do as well is that we give it a property after sign out URL equals, and then we have these. Look, I did it without. Now I get it.
URL to go to slash. Perfect. Let's test it out. So if I say,
so we need again file save over, doing this. So now we said, okay, if this thingy, if we sign out, we go back to the landing page, that works fine.
I am back. I did not refresh. My apologies. So I'm going to go back to localhost. I'm going to refresh this time. I'm going to click login. I'm going to use Google Log.
Yeah. So the point is why it didn't work is So now we do. And now we are back in here. So nice. And here we have still have a sidebar.
And if I try again, there we go. Everything is working fine. So just log in and make sure you're on the slash dashboard again so you can continue developing this. Great. So now that we have our Navbar set up, what we're going to do is we're going to actually create a sidebar component. So let's go.
Okay, so now he says we go back to dashboard layout. I think layout TSX dashboard layout. Yes, let's see.
And do that. I'm going to replace this div saying hello sidebar with an actual sidebar component.
Okay, so now he wants to put instead of this div, he says I want to do a sidebar component. So we do this. Oh no, that's really wrong. That's not what we want. We just delete this whole thing. And now within the div, we put, no, that's not correct because we need to do indentation. We do like sidebar and then we do that. So this is now, however, a point where we, like now we put a component here, but we don't have the component yet. So I could imagine, but we will find this out soon, that we need to create a component, which is then the sidebar. But let's see.
Right now, of course, this sidebar does not exist, so we are going to get an error. We're going to create our sidebar in the very same place where we created our navbar. So I'm going to close the app folder, and inside of the components folder, I'm going to create a new.
So again, to components, we create a new file, and we probably call this
sidebar.tsx.
So sidebar.tsx. So this is close to the navbar.
Like this. Perfect. So let's go ahead and let's start developing this. The first thing I want to do is I want to mark this as use client because this is going to be a.
So he says he want to mark this as use client. I kind of thought I knew how it works, but apparently not.
And components is going to have some route names and a bunch of other stuff like that. Great. What I want to do now is I want to, let's actually just start developing so we'll slowly change things up how they need to be done. So let's go ahead and write this shorthand.
Okay, so we again need to provide this like constant. There's probably a faster way to do that. Probably you can just copy paste, but just out of making it slow, learning how it's done, we turn this way. He's making this. So it's actually not that difficult. And then we have here export, default, and then this. So this is how it's done.
For sidebar, like this.
And then you need to put basically constant sidebar and then export default sidebar. So now we have these things.
Leave the props empty for now. My apologies, I added this. Okay, let's go inside of this return function. Let's write a div.
So within the return function, we write a div.
Right here. Let's go ahead and write
class name equals
name space -y -4 p
okay, space dot y dot 4 py dot
-4 flex dash call
pi 4 flex dot call
dash full bg dash open square bracket
and then bg dash
and write a hex code of 111827.
okay, now this is 111827, so that's the color, the background.
So it's just a specific background color that I like, and text white like this.
Okay, and then he says text white. He has these little buttons that show like what kind of color this is. And I know that he has some additional things installed in his Visual Studio Code, but for now we just leave that out because we don't want to complicate things. We can add these later.
And inside I'm going to write hello sidebar.
And within he wants to write hello sidebar component. Interesting. We will change this later.
So make sure you have at least this, and then you can go back into app folder.
Okay, now let's save that. Now we go back. Where's he going? Dashboard, boots, layout TSX, probably because we don't have the sidebar. We now need to
board layout.tsx, and you can actually import this sidebar component from add/components side.
So he kind of does this a bit quicker, but not sure yet how we can from. Or probably you can just copy paste, but whatever. We just do it a bit slower. Components. And he also said there's a different way where you can just put basically dot and then slash sidebar, or like dot slash components slash sidebar, but he wants to be consistent, so he stays it with that, and we will do that as well. So now file, save all. See now, hello sidebar component. So we change this and we have that, so we have it all.
Are the same way you did with Navbar right here. Perfect. Let's go back in our sidebar component and let's continue.
Okay, now we want to go to the sidebar components, which is here, TSX.
Developing this. So I'm going to remove this text hello sidebar component. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a div.
Okay, so you want to get this off, and instead you want to create a div. So that's what we will be doing.
With some spacing. So let's go.
Okay, div, and you want to do
ahead and give it a padding on both sides of 3 and on top side.
Okay, so basically this is padding, as he just says, on all sides. But maybe that's not py.
For 2 and flex that.
Not sure, maybe this is the x and the y axis, but let's see.
1 like this. And inside, I'm going to use a link component.
Okay, inside he wants to use a link component. So let's do this. Oh, component is different. I think I have to learn, like you're not hard coding this, but you're just basically building this website with all these components, and then you can just move around the components, and you just need to find out where the components are. So you basically create those components, you give them some design, and then you can, and where you want to have them, and then you kind of just add them there. But we are learning.
From next/link like this. Let's go ahead.
So it says link.
Then inside I'm going to write our logo text.
So it says logo, and then link here.
with an href of /dashboard.
Dashboard.
So when users click on that, they're gonna get redirected back to the dashboard. So once I click here, well, we are already here, so no effect.
See, that's again what I missed. So apparently we have link already from. I think you more need to know now when you code where you find this stuff. Or not. Okay, this is correct. No, it's not correct. See, don't ask me why this is now that way. File, save all. Let's see what happens. Oh, see, this goes quick. So yeah, it's supposed to go back to dashboard, but it doesn't because, it does because we're already in dashboard. Okay.
Scene, but it's going to be an effect when we have more routes. And let's give this some class names. So class name.
Okay, now it wants to give it a class name.
Here is going to be flex items dash center.
Okay.
And PL dash 3 and MB.
Okay, PL dash 3 and MB slash 14.
14, like this. And instead of just a logo, let's go ahead and write a div here.
Okay. I think this is just, what we see is it will just move a bit up. So or not up, but just on the right hand side. So that's now we have a bit more space here in between. So that's basically the padding. So PL, I think, is padding on the left, and then the MB14, I don't know. So let's see. Margin bottom. Okay. Okay, so that's margin bottom. So basically what we will be seeing if now we have margin bottom, that the next, if we add a different link or next link, it won't directly appear below, but like not directly, but there's a bit of space in between the logo and then whatever comes next. But now it wants not as a logo, but it wants to have, or like he wants to have a div, and then the div has class name of,
with the class name of relative W-8H.
Okay, now I want to have it relative W8 height
-8 and MR-4.
height 8 and MR, so margin right of 4.
Like this. And inside I'm going to use an image component from.
Okay, and now inside it will be an image. Oh, it's an image component. I'm always having to learn, so we don't hard code anything in here.
/image like this.
And then next /image, which is not defined yet. But it kind of does it that way. So let's see.
Let's go ahead and give this a fill property, an alt the of logo, and the source.
Interesting. And the source equals
is going to be /logo.png. If
which we don't have yet.
save, we're gonna get this broken image because this image has not been added.
Okay. Or see, I'm always forgetting that. It only works if we import all these components in here or whatever that is. Image. So now it should work. Save all. Okay, now it says, okay, because we haven't uploaded any kind of logo that is, yeah, you know, I'm trying to understand, but it's still a bit blurry. Because sometimes there are these components that we don't need to necessarily define ourselves. They are just part of, I think, Next. But then there are other ones, and then you have to import the image where you have the capital letter of the I, but then you have the Next with the small letter. So this is a bit confusing. And then you have these components that we have to define or like have to create based on the Schätzchen. So I'm not 100% sure yet how exactly it works, but I think we will get there over time.
Our project, we're gonna add images inside of our public folder.
Okay, now he says we have a public folder here, and we have Next SVG and Versal SVG. So here we can add additional pictures. So the problem now is that the SVG file, but we have PNG file here, so that should be fine because I have been using SVG files for when I was using Adobe Illustrator, and I created SVG files as well. But I think I don't use it anymore at the moment, so I'm not sure if I can use the if I can create SVG files by itself. So maybe that should be
Right
fine.
here.
However.
So to find the logo, you can either find anything you want, any image you want, or you can visit my GitHub repository. Link is in the description. Go into my public folder and just find logo.png. And you can just save that file like this and drag and drop it inside of public.
Okay, so he created a logo. And it is in his GitHub, as he said. So we can basically copy paste this. So let's try this out. I mean, I have my own logos, but just to make sure, you know, that we are not making things too complicated. And I think we can just change it afterwards. So let's go. I really wonder, we are not doing, or we're doing this already quite a lot of time, time. GitHub and live website. So let's go here. Oh, see, here's even a Discord site. Look, we are now at, what time are we? 51 minutes. So we are still at the sidebar. And then we build the dashboard. And then we start to build all these OpenAI stuff. Then we build AI limit, pro modals, type integration, error handling, and customer support. So that's going to be interesting. Landing page. And then, so the landing page only takes 15 minutes. That's a bit, it's very short. Let's see. So, you know, maybe if I'm able to do this, I can also build my own websites way faster. Well, because they're just landing pages mostly. But let's see. We are still far away. So let's see. So GitHub. He said, what did he say? Public. Oh, here logo PNG. Let's see if we can just put this in here. If this works. This didn't work. Let's quickly.
And make sure it's named logo.png, not logo1 like it was in my case. And now I'm going to remove this text hello sidebar component.
Okay, we have to
what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a div with some spacing. So let's go ahead and give it a padding on both sides of 3 and on top sides for 2 and flex -1 like this. And inside, I'm going to use a link component from next/link like this. Let's go ahead and inside I'm going to write our logo text. Let's give it an href of /dashboard. So when users click on that, they're going to get redirected back to the dashboard. So once I click here, well, we are already here, so no effect seen, but it's going to be an effect when we have more routes. And let's give this some class name. So class name here is going to be flex items-center and PL-3 and MB-14 like this. And instead of just a logo, let's go ahead and write a div here with a class name of relative W-8, H-8, and MR-4 like this. And inside I'm going to use an image component from next/image like this. And let's go ahead and give this a fill property, an out property of logo, and the source is going to be /logo.png. If we save, we're going to get this broken image because this image has not been added to our project. We're going to add images inside of our public folder right here. So to find the logo, you can either find anything you want, any image you want, or you can visit my GitHub repository. Link is in the description. Go into my public folder and just find logo.png. And you can just save that file like this and drag and drop it inside of public, and make sure it's named logo.png, not logo1 like it was in my case. And now when you refresh, there we go, you have a beautiful logo in the corner. Perfect. And now just outside of this div right here, holding our image, so below.
Okay, so now we have that, and now you see we just use his logo at the moment, but we will later on we can also change that to our own logo, and I will probably use my own logo because I mean I built this, even though it's a tutorial and I just copy paste it, but in the end I also kind of recreated it. We can we can later on choose our own logo and just see how it develops.
That, go ahead and open an H1 element.
And now he says, okay, now we have to check. So now we have this div. Okay, that's interesting. We have the link here.
Genius, like that.
Okay, now I need to see. Okay, so we have the link here. Then we have the div, we have the image, and then the div closes. And before the link closes, we put something in here. And we call this, we don't call it genius, we call it great AI.
Let's give this some class name.
And then H1 class name equals.
So I'm going to style it by saying text dash to Excel and
Okay, so basically all these class names is just for design, for styling.
Dash bold like that. But one thing I want to do is I want to change the font of this text, but I want to keep the same font that it already is on the entire website. So I only want to change the font for this one H1 tag. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a specific.
Okay, so he says now, let's first save that. Yeah, so we called it a bit different. So now it's called Great AI. That actually looks nice, doesn't it? Looks nice. I like it. But he want to use something else, so we will do that now because he wants to change the font name font for this specific Genius or like Great AI thing. So we call it Great AI compared to Genius. So we have to change the logo at one point as well, just to make it a bit more individual. But he want to add something here. Let's see.
Package, which we already have from Next. So let's go ahead and write const poppins.
So he wants to add package. No, not Poppins.
Which is going to be the name of the font I want to use. Oh, my apologies. It's actually going to be Montserrat. It's going to be
Okay, he wants not Poppins, but Montserrat. So that's Montserrat is basically a specific font.
which you can import from next/font/Google.
So, and now the Montserrat, however, cannot find the name. And the reason is because we have to import that. So we say import, and then we do this, Montserrat from, and then we put next.font.google, and then we have that.
Like this. So make sure you distribute.
Okay, and now he doesn't want to have this here, but he wants to have this at the bottom.
It and import it from next/font/Google like that. Now let's go ahead and give it a.
Okay, now we have to here do it that way.
Of 600.
Okay, so now we can style this. So we can say weight equals 600.
We want a bold model and subsets.
And subsets
of Latin like this.
Okay, subsets of, it did this differently, so it basically puts this in these thingies. And the subset is Latin. We need to have these. So file, save all. Well, I don't see that much of a difference, but well.
I'm just going to collapse this so you can see it in a better way. There it goes.
Okay, he wants to make this a bit nicer. So Montserrat, and then the weight, comma, and then a subset.
These are the properties of the model.
And then like this.
At constant right here. Perfect. And what I want to do now is I want to append that to this class name right here. So I'm going to do that using the CN library, which we have in our.
Okay, now he wants to append the Montserrat to this Great AI. So he want to go to the library, wherever that is. There's the library.
Utils right here, which we got from ShatCN UI. So
okay, so that's ShatCN UI. Somehow we got this from there. Don't ask me what it is.
Let's go back in our sidebar. Where is it? It's right here.
So you want to go back to the sidebar now?
Okay, and I'm going to modify this. Instead of just strings, what I'm going to...
But we are not in there. We want to go to the sidebar. No, I got confused. Oh, here we are in the sidebar. Where's the sidebar? Component sidebar, sidebar, okay.
do is I'm going to wrap this inside...
Okay, so he wants to wrap this. Yes, I know that doesn't work anymore. I get that.
with brackets like this, and I'm going to add cn, and I'm going to
Okay, now he adds cn.
import it from add/lib/utils like this.
Okay. Okay. Import image, import links, import Montserrat, and import cn from .utils.
So great. Now that we have that, I'm just going to separate it because I like to keep my personal imports below and global imports at the top, like that. And how CN works is that it accepts class names inside of its...
Okay, cn. So what he says is that we need to add something like this, and then around the and then we have to take one of these away.
But you can add both the default class names like this, and then you can have a comma, and in here you can add conditional class names or specially generated class names like this constant right here. So I'm going to write Montserrat, which is this class, this constant that added right here, dot class name like this. And once I save, you can see that my font has changed.
Okay, that's a bit weird, or at least not weird, but it's not that easy. Let's see. Did it change the font name? I'm not sure. Maybe it did. But it seems like a very small change given what we have to do here to make that work. But well.
So why am I using CN? Why not just template literal strings or backticks, as maybe that's how you know them? Well, that's because this CN library is a specially made library which uses Tailwind Merge and CLSX to ensure that there is a proper way we are adding additional dynamic class names to Tailwind elements, meaning that it's going to override them if they already exist here, and it's not gonna create conflicts. Great. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and continue rendering the actual routes inside of here. But before we render the routes, we actually have to generate an array which is going to hold all of our routes. So let's go do that here at the...
Okay, we need to create an array that holds our routes. Interesting.
Const routes.
Okay, we have const sidebar, and now below we say const routes equals.
Is equal.
Okay, now we have that, and then we have that.
To a couple of objects inside. So make sure it's an array which holds object. The first object is going to have a label of dash.
So apparently these are like, it's an array. Label.
Like that. It's going to have an icon. Of layout dashboard, which you can
And layout dashboard is something that we have to import from Lucid React.
from Lucid React right here. href going to be /dash
Dashboard.
like that, and we're going to have a color.
Let's see.
Of text-sky-500. You're going to see what color is going to be used for in this.
And then when we're done with that, we make a comma here.
Great, so I just added my first item here. We're going to.
And then we need that, so that's.
Some more items, but before we finish this, I just want to render this out so you can see how it's going to look like. Let's go back here.
Okay, so he wants to render this out first, so let's do file, save all. So here the icon is the layout dashboard above here.
Expand this as much as I can before it collapses to mobile, so like this, so you can see more of my code. All right, so outside of this link component.
Okay, so we need to go down here with a link.
Right here, create a new.
Okay, so outside the link.
With a class name of is-y-1. So each element inside is going to be spaced evenly using this class name. And inside, I'm going to write the routes, which we.
Okay, and inside of that thingy, we write routes.
Created.map. We're going to. Individual route right here.
And then route. And then.
And I'm going to open and be it return function. We're going to wrap everything in. A link component, which we already have. Imported right here. And let's ahead and let's give it an href of .href, and let's give it a the same route.href because it's guaranteed that that is unique. Perfect. Sorry, not late, but key, like this. Great.
Okay, we need to have key. And now within this one here.
Now, inside of that, let's write a div.
Okay, this gets a bit confusing, to be honest.
With a class name of flex items dash center x dash 1. Yeah. Let's go ahead and render route dot whoops. So route dot icon which is a self-closing tag, and we're going to give it a class name open curly brackets. We're going to use and again, so we already have it imported.
CN, and then this, and then that.
Default class names are going to be h-5, w-5, and margin right 3, and dynamic class name is going to be route.color. So that's the color that we're going to use. There we go. You can see how now our little icon is.
Let's see. Interesting. This is just confusing, to be honest. I mean, it makes somehow sense, but it is just a bit confusing.
Displayed right here with a specific color. And below the route icon element, we're just going to render route.
And then now this is closed. And now we go down and we do route label, maybe?
Label like this. So there we go. Now it says
interesting. So basically, what did we do? So we have the H1 and then we have a link here. And this is the link basically is a div, and within the div we have the roots map root, so that's what I'm not 100% getting. But then we have the link with the href and the key, and we have the root icon, and we have the root label. So I think within the div basically, so I mean this is the whole div, right? Or whatever.
Dashboard. What I want to do now is I want to give my link some specific class names. So let's go ahead and write class name.
Okay, href key equals, and then class name equals, let's see.
Right here, and we're going to write text-sm.
Okay.
Going to write group x padding -3.
Okay, flex padding 3.
W-full. Justify-start. -medium. Pointer. Like that. Hover is going to be text-white. Hover is also going to be bg-white /
Okay, and hover equals text white, oh no, background white /
10, meaning we are giving it an opacity. Rounded -lg.
Okay.
The transition at the end like that.
Okay.
So now if you hover, you see you have a nice effect for each of your route.
Okay, so basically, let's save this. So now we have a nice hover effect. So basically that's for all the links now, the href and the key, the class name. And we now make a short stop with the video, and then we go on later on.